back up. No UFO live stream shows on What the Truck. Hold up, what am I thinking? Terrestrial materials on at 1 p.m. Eastern. Terrestrial material, give me a recap. Terrestrial material, that's where you'll find me at. Aliens and AI, Matt, he's a hell of a guy. I bet I'll see John Stokes' steps and rotary motion. The cosmic twilight will hang out too. Jeff Garvey and Tim G. Star will sure stop by. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Live stream shows on What the Truck. Hold up, what am I thinking? Terrestrial materials on at 1 p.m. Eastern. Terrestrial material, give me a recap. Terrestrial material, that's where you'll find me at. Aliens and AI, Matt, he's a hell of a guy. I bet I'll see John Stokes' steps and rotary motion. Cosmic twilight will hang out too. Jeff Garvey and Tim G. Star will sure stop by. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Go! Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please don't forget to like, share, and me a recap. Terrestrial material, that's where you'll find me at. Aliens and AI, Matt, he's a hell of a guy. I bet I'll see John Stokes' steps in rotary motion. The cosmic twilight will hang out too. Jeff Garvey and Tim G. Star will sure stop by. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
All right, welcome back to Terrestrial Material, where we talk about the material us terrestrials are interested in. How you doing, guys? Happy Sunday, everybody. We got this little ditty going on, man. The more I hear that song, it's pretty good, huh? Like, I remember when I first made it with the AI, it was pretty amazing then. But I don't know. The more and more I listen to it, the more and more it grows on me. Well, let's see who's in chat here. Obviously, Rotary. The song members are here. John Stokes. Good to see you, buddy. Rotary, Cosmic Twilight. Good to see everybody. I know Steve H said he was watching the Euro finals. I see, John, you're in here talking about the football later. Yeah, I don't know. For us, it's soccer, as we all know. Interesting week. Last week, obviously, I was off. We had the little 4th of July celebration, everything that's been going on. Hopefully you guys had some fun last weekend, even without us over here at TM. I'm going to start calling it TM sometimes, huh? Terrestrial Material, TM. Rich called it TM first, and I was like, dude, that sounds really good, the ring on that, TM. I really like that. But some interesting things. I was actually going to originally do the show on Jason Sands. There was another big, 2.5 hour space that he was in. And I made a post earlier in the week about kind of a potential rumor that Grush might be coming out with 40 whistleblowers. That post went a little bit ridiculously wild. And then a lot of people took the post as I was saying, I had an insider or something. I'm like, I don't have an insider. That wasn't what I said. I just said I heard a rumor. I guess I should have put Sands in there, but I just kind of figured that everybody realized what I was talking about. And boy, was I wrong. There were people in there saying, give us the source and everything else. It was really funny. But yeah, anyway, I was going to do it on that. However, something else came up just a couple of days ago. And I seen that John Greenewald tweeted out that AARO / Oak Ridge National Laboratory, which Oak Ridge National Lab was the contractor that actually did some, how do you want to say it? They released their findings, their studies on the arts parts metamaterial. And that was obviously huge to me. That was a really big moment where I go, okay, this is what I should do the show on. This is some new content. As you guys know, I always want to bring something new to the channel here, or at least be able to tie something new to something old if we're going to talk about that. But that's what we're able to do now. So there's some interesting findings in that paper. We're actually going to go over the whole paper. I've got some highlighted areas. It's a little wordy. It's kind of tough to understand, but I think I have it laid out in a way where we can get the gist of it, where we can kind of digest the overall message that they're trying to portray without having to be metallurgists, because I'm not a metallurgist. So we're going to do our best. But to kind of get to a little bit of a background, to kind of jump into that. And actually, wait, before I do that, Alien Addict today, I'm going to be on there at 5 o'clock Eastern, 10 UK. We're going to do a big show on what just happened with Trump. You know, Trump obviously got an attempted assassination, pretty wild. I'm not going to go into a bunch of it here because we're going to go into it there. But later tonight, if you guys want to jump over there, we're going to go over. It's going to be pretty interesting stuff. And of course, kind of giving you guys the breakout before we really jump in. Congress had a couple slight things of news that came out this week. Not a lot, but enough to where we should stop and definitely acknowledge it and take a look. And then we'll do the AI video of the week, and we'll kind of wrap it up at that point. So let's start. Arts parts, right? What are arts parts? Well, arts parts came out. There was a guy who called Art Bell in 1996 and actually sent him a couple of packages of this metamaterial that's there. And the metamaterial that was investigated was the big bismuth, zinc, magnesium chunk. Okay. That was part of it. The other box had a lot of like pure aluminum that was involved. But nevertheless, these boxes came to Art Bell from the grandson, and the grandson was never identified. We don't know who this guy is. At least I couldn't find out who he was either. Of a man who supposedly was a military security officer who was present at a cleanup of a crash site in the 40s. Okay. So supposedly his grandfather gave him this material. It also had a diary, so it gave him the entire story and everything that had went on. Now, as history has told us here, Linda Moulton Howe was able to get a hold of some of these pieces, okay? And one of these pieces was that bismuth, zinc, magnesium hunk. Now, the reason why I'm going through this is because I think it makes sense to kind of bring out the history, and so we have a good timeline for the way that I have this laid out, so we can kind of all get on the same page with what's really went on with this so far and what we know. So Linda Moulton Howe receives a portion of that material. Now, in July of 2019, if we remember, TTSA entered a CRADA agreement with the U.S. Army. And what that agreement was entailed was for the Army to take that piece and actually dive in and run the analysis on it to figure out what that piece was, what the material was. There's been a lot of controversy over it, to be honest. And I'll just kind of even go a little bit deeper on that. I don't remember hearing anything about that agreement, about what happened, the Army's analysis at all. I don't know if you guys have, but for me, it's been all up in the air, which is crazy because I figured we would have got a little bit of knowledge about that. Nevertheless, AARO comes into the picture, Oak Ridge National Lab comes into the picture, and they're actually contracted to take that piece of material, run their analysis, and that started in February of 2023. So they took that piece. And what was interesting about that, and I think we'll see it at the top of the article when we start breaking it down, is that TTSA essentially gave permission through the CRADA agreement to Oak Ridge National Lab to actually work and do the analysis. So there was a slight connection that was involved in that. That's kind of the chain of custody of how the material has moved through since from Art Bell all the way to Oak Ridge. I kind of wanted to lay that out for you guys so we get that really good path in front of us so we know kind of where we're going. And at that point, we can kind of, break it down from there. Now, there's been a lot of conversation over the years about this material because obviously since it's been 1996, we're approaching 30 years that this material's been out there. I think Linda said that she's been working on it for 20 some plus years. I mean, and you know, all of my feelings on Linda and her credibility and everything all aside, it's still a very long time to dive into the material and kind of keep track and follow along with it. But what I thought was interesting is you have people like, you know what, we'll just go to the big board right now, because this will probably be really where we want to start. Let's go to the big screen. All right. Don't look at my AI video from earlier today. So here it was. Yeah, the DoD analysis of alleged extraterrestrial alloy was done by Oak Ridge National Labs. Sean Kirkpatrick, head of AARO, most likely was in charge of contracting that at the time. We're gonna touch on this too, nearing the end, which is very, very interesting. I mean, the connections between Kirkpatrick, Oak Ridge, his new job, and the Department of Energy, it just continues, man. I mean, this the saga, it just continues on. But anyway, there's been a lot of speculation on this piece. So I seen this tweet. I can't remember exactly where, but this reminded me of this. This was actually really, really interesting. Let's zoom in on this. So when I talked about TTSA in 2019, let me see here. In 2019, they entered the CRADA agreement, okay? What would it be? 6 days later, July 25th, TTSA makes this tweet in 2019. The structure and composition of these materials are not from any known existing military or commercial application, says COO Steve Justice. Now that's Steve Justice, former Lockheed Skunk Works head, okay? Not exactly a lightweight, pretty interesting. He's quoted as saying, "We are focusing on verifiable facts and working to develop independent scientific proof of the material's properties and attributes." Still kind of a big deal. Still kind of a big deal that he said that, right? And then you had Hal Puthoff, which I don't have the tweet whole diatribe that Hal Puthoff went on and on about. But Hal Puthoff kind of had his own view that was pretty similar in certain ways. You know, he claimed that it does appear to be material from a crash, okay? And it has potential to be a terahertz waveguide. The terahertz waveguide. Where have we heard that before? Tom DeLonge was talking about the terahertz waveguide on Joe Rogan, on that on that episode of Rogan, which was actually pretty rough. But I think what Hal Puthoff said was also pretty interesting is he said there's no proof of metamaterial development in the 40s. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if he's mistaken on that, but it's interesting. It's very interesting. But to kind of bring up Tom DeLonge in that clip, I think it's good to actually play that clip. So I grabbed it. Let's listen and see what Tom DeLonge has to say on Rogan about this material, because he's talking about this material that we're going to go over. Now, there's no video with this clip. It's just audio, and I stuck the picture over it, so you're going to see that. But let me adjust the volume for you guys, and this is pretty interesting. It's kind of a longer clip. Hopefully I don't get nicked on it or whatever, but we'll just see. Let's start it from the top. Here you go.
Trying to figure it out, trying to connect the dots, and looking at debris that they probably still have in a warehouse going, we have no fucking clue how to make this or back engineer this stuff. I mean, there's a piece of metal from a crash that I've seen, and I've seen the science on it, and it's atomically aligned, and it's layered in like 80 layers within just a few microns of purities of metal that aren't even in our solar system. And
now this is an interesting point. Oh, now I can't even hear myself. Okay. This is an interesting point that Tom says right there. He says that aren't even from our solar system. Try to keep that in mind as we're reading over Oak Ridge's report on this material, okay? Because that's a big point of contention that Oak Ridge has with Tom on this. So remember, he says it's not from our solar system.
They think it needs to be made in an area where there's no gravity. So number one, it has to be made in space. Number two, even if we were to create a machine that can potentially do some of this stuff, 3D printing layers of different metals of obscene purities, it would cost hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. We don't even have that.
Why do they think it was made without?
Well, I think we got hundreds of millions of dollars we could spend on it, but yeah, I digress. Go ahead.
Gravity.
Because I think it's the atomic structure. So what happens is when you radiate it with terahertz, it loses mass. Something weird. It resonates some kind of harmonic, and then it gets lighter. And if you hit it with enough terahertz, it'll float.
Okay. If you hit it with enough terahertz, it'll float. So that's the that's the whole idea behind this material, is that the material is a terahertz waveguide, and that the structure of the material allows it to do that. And the reason why I keep restating that is because, once again, when we get to the report, these are the reasons why I'm pulling these clips. Try to remember this stuff as we're going back through it, and you'll see the contention. It's pretty interesting. Now, Steve Justice, Tom DeLonge, Kirkpatrick, Hal Puthoff, Steve Justice, Tom DeLonge, they're not the only people that have had their opinions on this, okay? Now, Sean Kirkpatrick gave his opinion, I think this was probably 5 or 6 months ago. It could have been further, to be honest. But he kind of spoke about what he thought this material was already prior to this report, and it's pretty interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the clip for that. Once again, no video on this clip, just an image of his face moving, but we'll get to it.
They're the same people that worked with a U.S. company and the United States Army to explore a piece of material that they claimed was a UAP, and it really is a piece of missile casing from the 1950s.
So he says missile casing from the 1950s. Now, allegedly, as we kind of mentioned earlier, the piece is supposed to be from the 40s. So I don't know what the difference is when it comes to that. I do have, after we go through the report, a special little look at why I think he might be saying this, but we'll save that for the end because it'll just make more sense there. So that's his take. Okay, he's saying it's the missiles. So let's go ahead and jump into this report. Now, this report, like I said, man, this is wordy. I was going through it and I made a lot of notes, and I try not to over highlight because, you know, we want to stick with the points, but I'm telling you, man, as you go through these, I'm always like, well, it's probably going to be wordy. I'll probably only need a few areas. And then you start reading it, you're like, everything is important, you know? So I get these big blocks of yellow and I'm like, God, dude, I just want it simple. But then I go, can't leave that out. Can't leave that out. So yeah, let's zoom in on this so you guys can maybe get a little bit of a better read on it too. So this is the report from Oak Ridge that AARO published. Okay. AARO didn't do the research. Just want to keep making that clear. All right, introduction. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, sponsored a series of measurements on a layered material specimen primarily composed of magnesium and zinc with bands of bismuth and other located trace elements. Sounds like what we got. The material specimen, whose origin and purpose of long and debated history, is claimed to be recovered from an unidentified anomalous phenomena UAP crash in or around 47. Furthermore, the specimen's physiochemical properties, I want to say psycho for some reason, that's weird, properties are claimed to make the material capable of quote-unquote inertial mass reduction. Tom DeLonge was just talking about that. It makes it lighter. Okay, so they're on board. At least they've got the history right, i.e. levitation or anti-gravity functionality. Possibly attributable to the material's bismuth and magnesium layers acting as a terahertz waveguide. There you go. There you go, folks. Previously, U.S. Army Combat Capabilities Development Command, DEVCOM, established a Cooperative Research and Development Agreement, CRADA, that's the CRADA, with To the Stars Academy to evaluate the feasibility of exploiting any potential disruptive technology associated with this widely discussed specimen. So there you go. Okay, they were looking into it. Who knows what happened? I'd sure like to know. Wonder if AARO knows more about that. They haven't talked about that. We'll see if that comes out in the report a little bit later on, which is actually really weird too, because I will say this, I'll interrupt there for a second. Why is AARO mentioning this now? Like, they've got a second report that's coming out that's supposed to have more data, that's supposed to kind of break this stuff down. Why are they kicking this out early? I mean, look, I'm happy that I have the content for sure. I'm happy that I have the information, but I just find it weird, you know, that they're coming out with it now. All right. Now this says, although the long chain of custody for this specimen cannot be verified, public and media interest in the specimen warranted a transparent investigation that adhered to the scientific method. Subsequent to the TTSA DEVCOM CRADA, AARO secured science and technology partner Oak Ridge National Laboratory, one of the 17 U.S. Department of Energy national laboratories, to independently assess and perform thorough characterization studies on the specimen, leveraging Oak Ridge's 80-year history of world-leading material science expertise. Woo! Man, they know what they're talking about. That's for sure. But are they telling us what's really going on? That's the question, right? All right, so let's jump down a little bit here. AARO tasked Oak Ridge. I'm just going to say Oak Ridge when it's ORNL because, say all that every time is too much. AARO tasked Oak Ridge with assessing, number one, whether the specimen is of terrestrial origin, and two, the bismuth in the specimen could act as a terahertz waveguide. The bismuth is supposed to be these little fine hairs, like these little strings that are in between the magnesium, the zinc that are kind of weaved in and out. Pretty interesting stuff. I think we might get a picture that's a little bit better of it. I can't remember though, but we'll continue on with it. Okay, yeah. DevCom Ground Vehicle System Center provided ORNL, Oak Ridge, access to the metallic specimen, a single parent sample, and 3 previously derived subsamples, all from the same material beginning in February 2023. So there you go, in February of 2023. Now, you know what I found out too, which is just a little side note? The Ground Vehicle System Center, that's actually in Michigan, where I'm at. I'm probably like an hour and a half away from where they're at. I didn't know that. But yeah, pretty cool. Michigan's been involved in so much stuff with all this. Oak Ridge Material Sciences Analysis evaluated the sample structure. They went over the chemical composition, the isotope ratios via multiple methods, including microscopy, spectroscopy, and spectrum. I almost nailed all 3. Spectrometry. Dude, these words, man, they'll get you. I'm gonna be Biden by the end of this thing. Results align with previous DevCom analysis indicating that the structure and composition of the bismuth layers do not meet the requirements necessary to serve as a terahertz waveguide. Furthermore, all data strongly support that and this is in red, the material is terrestrial in origin. It's terrestrial material. Oh, wait, so I guess I didn't catch this really the first time I read it. Results align with previous DevCom analysis. I don't know. Have we ever seen that? I've never seen it. That's crazy. I feel like people would talk about that. I don't know. Maybe this is like some information that Oak Ridge has. Like they have the analysis from DevCom, but we don't have it. I guess maybe it's one of those things. Or, I mean, look, it slipped past me. It's very possible. Now, the methods, the way that they're going to do this, okay? All analyses and materials utilization were authorized and overseen by TTSA via the DevCom CRADA, and all analysis were pre-approved by AARO and DevCom before Oak Ridge received the specimen. So they were talking about it. Everything's been pre-approved. They knew it was going there. Blah, blah, blah. Okay? Which I don't know. I find that really interesting, man. I do. The TTSA connection, even though they're not really doing anything anymore, how that continues to be a part, it's always interesting to see their acronym pop up. All right. So now the way that they're going to do this, so optical microscopy, standard microscope analysis that allows imaging of microstructural features, computerized tomography, aka CT scan. So they do CT scan on an X-ray imaging procedure that produces a 3D image of a sample without damaging it, revealing interior structural features. Now you guys might be listening to this and being like, you're gonna go over all this? You're gonna tell me this is the interesting stuff. I've been asking for the data. I want to know what they did. So I know it might get boring for some people, but for me, I've got a little bit of interest in what's going on here with this. So bear with me if you can. Scanning electron microscopy, energy dispersive X-ray spectroscopy, or I'm just going to skip that word. I'm going to get it wrong every time. SEMEDS. Technique that produces 2D images at higher resolution to allow analysis of microstructure and elemental makeup. All right. Scanning, transmission electron microscopy, energy oh no, they're repeating this. Dispersive X-ray jeez, that word's going to kill me. A suite of techniques that pass a high energy, e.g. 200 kilovolts, electron beam through a thin, I'm going to say less than 200 nanometers, foil of sample, allowing analysis of crystal structure. This is actually kind of important right here, okay? Allowing analysis of crystal structure, grain and feature morphology, and defects, as well as elemental makeup, all with nanometer to sub-nanometer resolution. Holy. Okay. In all disclosure on that was the biggest area I was worried about going over, because that is entailed. Okay, so interface showed fractures. This is the morphology and structure they're kind of going over. And you can see these images right here. I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit more for you guys. You can kind of take a look. Can I pull over here? Pull over. Pull the car over the side of the road. I guess I can't. But here it is. Here's the picture. Why can't I really can't move it? Oh, wait, I think I can. Hold on. I think it's from a different area. Usually you get the little hand where you can move this thing, huh? There we go. All right, I knew we'd get it. So you can look in here. You can see kind of the little fracture lines here. They're going to talk about this too, why they think these fractures and how they happen, these deep ridges here. Very interesting. Very cool looking material, huh? I mean, especially if you're into this kind of stuff. If you're really looking to get in the nitty gritty. This is best place you could possibly be, huh? So as his interfaces showed fractures and other features that Oak Ridge determined are consistent with a material that was originally whole, but was strained by heat exposure and mechanical forces, possibly for extended periods. Okay, that's interesting too, extended periods of time on that. Figure 2 shows images of the specimen constructed using the CT. So this is the CT scan right here. All right, pretty cool, pretty interesting. Now they broke down, and I had to pull up a, as you can see here on the left, I had to pull up a chart of the elements here so that I could break these down to make them a little bit more easier for you guys to look at. But table 1, trace element composition of the specimen. So right here, this graph on the left, or this, it's not a graph, it's a, help me with the word here, boys and girls. This little table, it's a table, all right? Table 1. The word's right there, Matt. Just read. It's right there. If you just read it, you'd have been fine. Table 1. I didn't highlight it. See, that was my problem. It's in bold, but I didn't highlight it. Trace element composition of the specimen sans the bulk magnesium and zinc matrix, meaning that because there was so much magnesium and zinc and that was the majority of the material, they're not going to put it on this table. This table's focusing on the minute. It says all are considered trace, all of these elements that they're finding in this material at less than 0.1% abundance. Okay, so they're breaking down. So you got bismuth, and I believe, yeah, this is parts per million too that they're finding in this stuff. So bismuth is at the top, all right, 3,813 parts per million. You got the lead in there. Those are gonna the lead's gonna come up a little bit later. 2,859 parts per million. You got thallium, you got iron, cadmium, manganese, gold. You got gold, baby. Molybdenum. This is gonna be a trying episode. You got tin and you got barium. Those are there. Now, one thing I thought would be kind of cool to show you guys is these photos of these machines, because this says gray reflects results from inductively coupled plasma, optical emission, spectroscopy. Blue reflects results from high resolution ICP MS. So ICP OES is a machine that they're using, and an ICP MS is another machine that they're using to get to these results here. Okay. So the cool thing is let's take a look. What do these look like here? So this machine right here, who else is going to show you guys stuff like this, huh? This is the ICP OES, not Insane Clown Posse. Stop. Okay. This is something different. This is serious. This is the machine that they're using. I don't know what this thing is. Okay. I just thought it was kind of cool to pull this up, take a little look. See, you guys might know what's going on with this here. All right, you got the polyscience thing down here. This looks like you're putting some test tubes in here, running this. Man, I bet you whoever works on this machine's really getting paid, huh? These guys are making a good living, huh? Yeah, he's got the clipboard there. They're working. They're busy. Okay, so that's the OES machine. Let's take a look at the MS, because it's the same thing. MS machine. These kind of, I mean, they're not. I mean, they're different, right? But they're kind of similar. At least that tray is similar, right? Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. I wonder how much this stuff costs. Is this the millions that Tom is talking about? I don't think so. Maybe it does. What do you guys think? How much does that cost him? And then the last one is the SEM EDS machine. This one. Oh, Hitachi makes this one. This looks pretty cool. See, now 2 monitors. That's me right there. That's my wheelhouse. Let's get a little PC tower over here. Let's get some gaming going on. This actually kind of looks like a stream station. Like you got a stream deck right here. Let me zoom in so you guys can actually see it. A little stream deck, huh? I don't have a Stream Deck. I should probably have a Stream Deck. He got the audio interface right here. This is cool. You get to kind of see a little bit what's on the screen, so they're zoomed in. These microscopes are incredible. They're incredible, man. It's got to be a lot of money. All right, so let's get back to where we were here. We already had it up, didn't we? All right. Yeah, so analyzing with the SEM EDS determined that the magnesium and zinc are the primary elements present in the specimen, comprising approximately 97.5% and 2% of the material, respectively. So that's the breakdown, I guess, of just what they found, what the material is, what it's behind, the makeup. All right, pretty interesting stuff. Next area I have highlighted here. Now there's some more images that are here that they're, I mean, God, I wish I could read these for you guys. Like I knew what this was. But they're still pretty cool. I guess these are some of the microscopic images that they're getting in on. It says, if a detected element abundance fell beneath the lower bound of the calibration curve or below the method detection limit, then the element is not displayed in table 1 because that element was extremely unlikely to have been a purposeful addition to the manufacturing process. So they're just saying, you know, it's something there were, I guess, even further down more elements, but it's so minuscule that it doesn't really matter. So it's interesting. So I guess there was a little bit more that's involved there. Now, this is where this gets really interesting. Okay, this is where we can start kind of looking back at the clip from Tom DeLonge that we went over, stuff that Hal Puthoff was saying along with Steve Justice. Okay, this is kind of really where the rubber meets the road with this for a lot of it. Now, okay, it says TEM revealed that the crystalline structure of magnesium in the specimen was consistent with common magnesium alloy structures. Okay, the bismuth-rich portions of the specimen lacked a clear crystalline structure, instead appearing to consist of highly nanocrystalline pockets in an otherwise anamorphous matrix. Why is that important? It's important because pure single crystalline bismuth in a single thin layer has been postulated to have the ability to function as a waveguide, a material that can disrupt or direct an electric or energy field, in this case, terahertz waves. Very interesting. Although the damage to the specimen, and including suspected heat stress, precludes a definitive statement describing the specimen's original structure, the anamorphous and nanocrystalline appearance of the bismuth in the examined layers of the current specimen, this is big, likely indicates that a pure crystalline layer of bismuth was never present within the material. So it has to have that pure single crystalline bismuth layer, or else it can't be a waveguide. It won't work. This is what Oak Ridge is saying from all of this, okay? There was a reason why we went through. We see you gotta go through the vegetables before we can get to the dessert here. Okay, we're getting into the dessert now. Trust me. Moreover, the postulated structure of such a theoretical bismuth-based waveguide requires it to be a single layer between a material possessing a different dielectric constant. However, multiple bismuth layers throughout a material have not been postulated to be capable of achieving or improving the waveguide functionality. In fact, multiple layers could instead interfere with such functionality. Thus, the layered nature of the impure bismuth within the specimen likely precludes it from acting as a waveguide. There you go. So a lot of people have talked about how all these layers, it's important to have them, and that's part of the process. They're saying that's actually against the grain of what it needs. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. It's very interesting, nevertheless. All right, finally, based on the postulated hypothetical uses of bismuth, the dielectric properties necessary for bismuth to function as a waveguide would have been disrupted in this material because the bismuth in the specimen is co-located and mixed with lead. Okay. Based on these findings, Oak Ridge determined that this material is highly unlikely to have ever functioned as a bismuth-based terahertz waveguide. So the lead gets in the way. Man, dude, this theory on this material, it's taking hits, man, for sure. It's taking hits. You know, I look, and I know there's going to be a lot of controversy of just, you know, maybe not controversy is the right word, but there's going to be a lot of fighting back and forth of just saying, well, how can we really trust it? It's Oak Ridge, it's Kirkpatrick, it's the DOE. It's hard to say. It's hard to, you need a second opinion, right? We need kind of a second opinion, like a peer review process. I think that was what Gary Nolan was talking about. Gary Nolan made a comment on this. I think I have the tweet over here. You know, I might as well try to pop it right now because it's probably a good little time to jump over to that. Let me see. See if we got the Nolan tweet. He made an interesting little point about this. Yeah, okay. So let's look at this right here. Until they release the raw data files behind the figures that figures so that the others can verify the results, this report remains as conclusions, in quotes, not data. First, it has not gone through the peer review. Does AARO even know that means? Does AARO even know what that means to the credibility score for report? All right. So he wants peer review. Interesting enough. But yeah, I mean, I understand that's going to be the pushback, right? That's definitely going to be the pushback. And then this is obviously some more zoom-ins, I think, on dealing with the lead here. There was another part here that's coming up that's pretty interesting. I know there's a lot to go over here, guys. There's a lot. Thank you for hanging in. Thank you for hanging in tight. All right. The isotope analysis. All right. Multi-collector ICP-MS analysis showed that the specimen's magnesium and lead isotope composition is consistent with other materials manufactured and used terrestrially. Now, why is this important? This is important because this is what Tom was talking about. All right. He was saying that the isotopes of these elements showed that it had to come from outside of our solar system, had to come from somewhere else. Okay. They're saying opposite. They're saying manufactured, used terrestrially. Okay. It all ties in, boys. Isotopes are varying forms of the same element with differing mass, and the proportions affect the chemical properties of and reveal information about the history of the material within which the isotopes are found. All right. All elements have isotopes, and the ratio between the amounts of various isotopes is called the isotopic signature, which is akin to a fingerprint in chemical analysis, so they can kind of figure out where it's from. The magnesium isotopic signature of the specimen is fractionated, possibly owing to the mechanical and heat strain that the material appears to have gone under. So they're saying that it's kind of, it's broken up, it's shaped, you know, it's not complete, but falls within the normal terrestrial composition precisely within the expected trend lines of fractionation. Each star, this is pretty cool too. When I was reading this part, I was like, oh man, this is actually really interesting. Each star system has a magnesium isotopic composition that was inherited from its local star forming region. Figure 6, and we're going to go to Figure 6 in a moment. Figure 6 shows the magnesium isotopic signature of various materials originating within our solar system. The straight lines in the bottom graphic representation are the kinetic and equilibrium mass fractionation trend lines. This is tough sometimes, which define the types of isotopic shifts incurred on the basis of mass. Fractionation occurs due to chemical reactions and physical processes, e.g., so they're giving you an example here, manufacturing and mining, and is normal during the lifespan of natural and manufactured materials and their components. The materials in Figure 6, including the specimen, fall on or near fractionation trend lines. So they're saying it's on the line, and we're going to see that. It's all in line with terrestrial, our solar system, strongly indicating that their starting compositions were once the same and have been systematically changed as a result of mass fractionation. If a material originated outside our solar system, its magnesium isotopic signature could plot nearly anywhere in the top graphic representation of Figure 6. Instead, the specimen's data plots it precisely within the expected fractionation trend lines for known compositions specific to our solar system. Now, a lot of people have always said, if they were to come across material that was extraterrestrial, how would we know? How would we know that? Well, obviously, we would have some idea of the isotopic composition of the material. That would give us an idea. It wouldn't really tell you like it was like ET, but it would tell you that it came from definitely outside of our solar system. That's a good place to start, you know? We could probably start there. as far as like, whatever the biological material of NHI or what have you is and how we would figure that out, that's a different story. But I think when we look at like potential fragments of craft or any kind of research you could do on a craft, if we were somehow able to dig one up now and it got loose, or if Ross Coulthart would tell us where the hell the one is that's buried, that would be the first place that you could look, is they would probably pull up the isotopic composition. So it's interesting, man. No doubt. Very complex, man, but it's very interesting. Wait, when I say that, it says less complexly. So Oak Ridge agrees. This has all been very complex. Okay. Yeah. Break it down for the dummies out here. Please do. Please do. The lead isotopic signature of the specimen is fully consistent with common lead. Okay. So they're saying the lead here that's interfering is common. Compositions that exist naturally on Earth and within terrestrial materials. There it is, huh? Dude, we're getting shout outs. I'm going to get on Team Oak Ridge, man. They're giving me shout outs, huh? I'm changing my tune completely. They're all good in my book. Distinctly separate from even lunar materials, indicating it is extremely likely the material originated on Earth. So they're saying it's not even, lead that would even come from the moon. I got to sip the coffee, boys. I'm sorry. They're saying that. Interesting enough. Okay. It always lags right here when I pull down this article. Okay. So this is where we get to some pictures here. I'm a picture guy. Okay. I'm not a words guy, but I try to be a words guy. Oh my God. We're really lagging on this. What's going on here? Are people like reading this thing now? Oh, by the way, guys, I have this article linked in the description. So if you want to follow along, should have said that at the start. It's there. If you want to do your own kind of research on this, dude, please show me the image that I want to show. It keeps going right past it. It doesn't want to show this to me. Oh, this is going to ruin everything if I can't. Should I go up, just try to go a little further? Something to do with this spot of this article. What is the deal here? Wow, that is strange. It will not let me go any further. Oh, okay. Okay, there it is. Don't move. So this was, and there it moved. This is the torture of a live show here, okay? It's really slow. Why would it only be slow on this section? It's got to be because this is getting hit a little bit here. One more second, guys. We're almost there. I guess I'll just leave it right here because I scrolled down one more time, and when it catches up, it should probably bring it better in view. This is the sample of the magnesium. This shows you all these other materials, and that's why I needed to show the whole image, because I need you guys to be able to see the table that's underneath so you guys know what we're looking at here. Maybe I could just like let it go a little bit more. Okay. So here's sample A. Here it is on the line. Dow metal, seawater, manufactured metal, equilibrium, fractionation, kinetic fractionation. This is our solar system line right here where all this would land. Here's the sample A. Boom. They're saying it falls around the line. Interesting. Oh, now after I explain it, it wants to let me scroll it down. That's rich. Brazilian specimen, Earth, very interesting. Okay. Artistic representation, including the magnesium isotope symmetrics or systematics of the unknown material specifically shown relative to other terrestrial, non-terrestrial, and extrasolar materials. So there you go. Now this graph right here, it's kind of the same idea as the one above, I believe, and this one just works perfect. This is going over the lead. Okay, they're showing you why is this common lead, where it lands, silver coins, all these areas that have lead in them. This was actually kind of cool too, and I'll read this before we go back up to the top. Actually, you know what? We'll do this first. This is where it lands. Okay, and here's all these other samples of the lead, of common lead. Okay. So when we look at this graph here, SRM 982 measure, this was kind of cool. It says lead, a PB isotope systematics of the unknown material shown relative to other terrestrial and non-terrestrial materials. And they show a bunch of different isotopes of lead right there, I'm assuming. This plot has 3 end member compositions. Primordial lead, that sounds cool, which is the starting composition of the lead in the solar system. Pure radiogenic lead, from the decay of naturally occurring uranium, and 3 terrestrial lead. or common lead, which is defined by repeat analysis. The specimen has a lead isotopic composition that plots precisely in the field of terrestrial lead compositions. Now, the SRM next to these on the top right of the bar graph or the table there, SRM stands for Standard Reference Materials. Materials typically used to perform instrument calibrations due to the well-characterized composition or properties as measured and certified by the U.S. Department of Commerce National Institute Standards and Technology. So they have like baseline samples, which is pretty cool. I don't know. I just found that interesting. You know, your mileage may vary. All right, so we're at the conclusion here. This has been quite a deal here. AARO secured Oak Ridge to independently assess the requirements necessary to confirm or contest public claims that this historical specimen is of non-terrestrial origin and that it is capable of functioning as a bismuth-based terahertz waveguide. Although the origin, chain of custody, and ultimate purpose of the specimen remain unclear, a modern and robust analysis of its chemical and structural composition and properties does not indicate that its origin is non-terrestrial. Man, that's the first time we've ever heard AARO say that it's not ET, right? This is a new leaf. Nor do the data indicate that the material examined ever had the pure single crystalline bismuth layer that could possibly have acted as a terahertz waveguide. In the red here, because this is really important. The intended or actual past use of the material remains undetermined, but Oak Ridge has a high level of confidence that all data indicate the material was manufactured terrestrially, albeit using an uncommon mixture of elements by today's standards, and then incurred damage caused by mechanical and heat stressors. Okay? Interesting. That doesn't really line up with Sean Kirkpatrick with the missile casing. I don't know where he got that from. When I was thinking about it last night, I said, I'm gonna go for a shot here on this. And I'm gonna look up, and I fully didn't expect to find anything that would actually just kind of give me a really good explanation of maybe where he got this from. But I'll tell you what, Google, sometimes you just hit pay dirt, man. So I looked up the composition of missile casings, right? And would you believe it that this popped up really early, okay? This is a paper from Johns Hopkins University. This is really, really cool, okay? Introduction. The applied physics laboratory experience in tactical missile structural design began with the development of the rocket-powered Terrier and the ramjet-powered Talos in the late 1940s. Okay? It's right in that time frame when we're talking about this chunk of metamaterial. The airframes for those missiles were designed with conventional aircraft materials using slide rules, mechanical desk calculators, handbooks, and rule of thumb procedures. To ensure adequate safety margins, conservative analytical procedures were pursued, followed by extensive environmental testing. Simple aluminum and steel structures operating at temperatures below 300 degrees Fahrenheit for Terrier, and this is interesting, 600 degrees Fahrenheit for Talos, made up the major portions of the missile. So it was simple aluminum. It's kind of where they started. All right. Terrier was constructed primarily from machined castings. Talos, shown in figure 1, which is on there on the top right there, with its central air duct configuration, uses sheet metal construction. The early Talos production missiles contained no magnesium, but after alloys capable of withstanding aerodynamic heating temperatures to 600 degrees Fahrenheit and suitable fire and corrosive preventative coatings were developed, magnesium was introduced into the primary and secondary structural components of Talos. The remaining structure, except for the aluminum tail fins and forward non-structural covers, was made from sheet metal. So why does Kirkpatrick think that this probably came from a missile when you look at that time frame? Well, let's zoom in a little bit on this image and we can take a look at it. Let's look at the structure. Sheet magnesium, okay? You got the wings here. You got the fairings. You have an inner body forward core. This is all magnesium. These are giant chunks of magnesium. Okay? So this is kind of where I think he's coming from on this, right? But then I ask myself, if the CRADA didn't prove analysis that it was a missile casing, and Oak Ridge National Lab didn't make this out to be a missile casing, they're still saying, we don't really know what's going on. Where is Kirkpatrick getting this? Is this conjecture? Is this just his opinion? Listen, I don't mind people speculating. I love to do it. It's a lot of fun. But I don't head a program that's designed to look into this stuff and give us actual facts. Okay? I'm not running a government-funded, Congress-mandated program that's supposed to be just the facts, like he said there from Bill Nelson from NASA, just the facts, okay? That's what I want from Kirkpatrick. Now, that Kirkpatrick clip comes from an interview he did on ABC News. It was a big interview. A lot of people have seen it, okay? If you're going to go out there and you're going to talk about this stuff, and you're supposed to be the guy that's bringing out the facts, save the conjecture from behind the scenes, or get on a fun podcast and talk about it. Do whatever you want. Come on here. I'll talk to him. I don't think he's going to. I think he said he was getting out of here. He wasn't going to talk about UFOs anymore, supposedly, especially after that big blunder with the photo. But I don't want that. Okay? So, I don't know. I think he kind of needs to speak on this now. I wish he would. And this is kind of where it leads me to my kind of really where I want to end a lot of this conversation with this whole AARO release, DOE, Oak Ridge, this whole entire relationship. AARO has seemed like such a mess. Such a mess. When Kirkpatrick was talking about the Nimitz and the investigation that AARO's doing on that entire case, and he said, well, I think that they're going to put that analysis in the report. I left them in, with the whole setup, and they were kind of going over it. He should know that. He should be able to speak more definitively about this stuff. They don't seem like they're on the same page. He seems to be on the same page as far as, moving on. He's on the same page with Oak Ridge as far as moving on. He's taking the job from them. He's going over there to work. But the weird thing is it's still not the same. It's still not the same conclusion at Oak Ridge. So it's I don't know. It's all over the place, guys. I guess that's really where I'm fumbling around to get my point out on. Is it just seems so weird. Now, can you take a lot of this report and everything that's coming out? Can you take it as pure fact and everything? You could if you wanted to. I don't know. I'm going to wait to see a little bit more analysis. I'm sure people are going to tear this thing apart as time goes on. I just wanted to kind of go over it and you see what we could come up with, all of us together, heads or tails. But I thought this was a really cool catch. With that piece being heavy amounts of magnesium. When you see these wings, last night when I got this article and it popped up and it gave me the image, I was like, oh my God, I nailed it. I found it. I got so lucky, I felt like. So that wraps it up. That wraps it up when it comes to that material. Like I said, the link for all that's going to be in the description. Not the link for the John Hopkins report that I just pulled up, but that stuff's all going to be there. All right, what are we at? 55 minutes? That leaves us just enough time to kind of wrap it up here today. All right? Hopefully that wasn't boring for you guys. Like I said, it was a lot to go over. It's a lot of really technical stuff. I tried my damnedest, dude, to make it as basic as possible. Because I need it basic like that too. You know what I mean? I really do. There was like a couple other takes I think that was like pulled some of the clips of or stuff like that for it, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. So let's get over to the Congress stuff, huh? All right. Rep. Tim Burchett on next House UAP hearing, quote unquote, get ready. All right. This is the buckle up situation. Even Burchett, and I said Burchett again, even Burchett, he's getting on this buckle up chain. This is obviously courtesy of Matt Laszlo, Ask a Poll. Nice guy, dude. He keeps getting all these exclusives. So this clip's about 1.5 minutes long. We'll go ahead and listen to it, but he's going to ask him, obviously, do you have an update on the further UAP hearing? And we'll listen to it. Actually, you know what? I got to be careful with the sound on this because it's going to probably be very loud. One second, guys. Let me pull up the window here where I can actually control this. Oh, you know what? I got this new feature. There's if you use Google Chrome, by the way, there's a plugin. What is that called? They're called plugin, right? What do they call them? Extension. Excuse me, extension. It's called Volume Master. Incredible. Okay, get this. It allows you to actually control the volume, gives you like voice boost, bass boost, all these extra features that you can do right on your web page. So, you know, like if you watch Instagram videos or stuff on your computer, the video audio is low, or if you jump into Twitter Spaces and the audio is low, you can just actually manually turn it up past what your computer will allow you to do with Chrome. Very, very cool. So I'll control it from that and we'll see kind of where we're at on the levels.
Welcome to the Ask a Pole UAP podcast. I'm your host, Matt Laszlo, based here in Washington,
This is not the whole podcast. This is only a minute. Hopefully he gets it going.
where I hound the nation's lawmakers on your behalf. Thank you so much to all our subscribers. And hey, make sure and give us a like, if you like us, that is. And if
Thank
you
you,
haven't
Matt.
yet,
Thank you.
please consider a paid subscription to help this scrappy startup continue changing Washington one interview at a time.
Dude, hashtag ad. Come on, man. I don't care. Let me
Now,
get the ad.
here's
Let me
our
get the
latest
ad.
Ask a Poll exclusive from your U.S. Capital.
This is new.
Any update on UAP hearing?
I do, and I can't tell you.
When are we going to see it?
More greenhouse.
I can't tell you.
And put more
Get ready.
It's coming. Yes, sir.
I will play that one more time. You can read it down here too, guys. You can read it. Sometimes it helps to listen and read along. I'll try to highlight it for you guys too. More greenhouse.
I can't tell you.
And put more.
Get
I
ready.
do, and I can't tell you.
Coming. Yes, sir. I'll be watching.
Now, if you did catch at the very end, it's kind of hard to hear. We'll tell you first. Burchett tells Askapol. Okay, so there is a UAP hearing coming. Can't talk about it. God, it's always the case. But we're gonna follow it along. So if you guys want to follow Matt on Twitter, it's Askapol, Matt Laszlo. You know, you'll be right on board with us, or you can just wait and I'll go over it on Sundays with all of that. So that's coming. And then there was one other piece here that was kind of interesting enough. God, my AI video keeps showing here. I'm not going to pull up this article because I can kind of give you the gist of it from right here. Rep. Eric Burleson, exclusive to Ask a Poll. AARO has told Congressional UAP Caucus there's nothing top secret about extraterrestrial UFOs. It's the detection technologies that are classified. Bonus, update on UAP Caucus attempt to hire David Grush. Well, actually, you know what? I might need to pull it up. Because what's Burleson say here? Okay. Yeah, you know what? We'll pull it up. We'll read this. Might as well. Let me zoom in for you guys. I thought the top of it just gave it to me, but I guess it doesn't. This is from Burleson. This is the answered question from Laszlo. What happened with your plan to hire UFO whistleblower David Grush? Burleson says, what we determined is that he really wouldn't have as much authority as a staffer, an individual staffer for me per se. Like if I hired him directly, the other important thing is it would be difficult to hire him to take up one role position in a congressional office with very few for that specific purpose. So I was trying to get him to be a shared role, but even then we've determined that he would be limited as to what he can do. Okay, that's not what Burchett was saying. Burchett was simply saying that they didn't have the money. Remember that from a couple weeks ago, guys? I guess I could have pulled that clip, but I didn't know if I really needed to again. But that's what Burchett was saying, was that there was just no money. It's not in the budget. So there's a difference there. So well, I guess both could be true. There's no money. There's no money. And he couldn't help anyway. All right. So there. We're broke. We're broke. They're crying broke over there. Oh, boy. Let me see. Dude, I'm going to make myself laugh now. I'll be able to finish the show. I'm being silly. Okay. I think that's going to kind of wrap it up. The last thing here is obviously our AI video of the week. This one isn't incredible or anything like that. I just thought this was very cool. Okay. It's cool to see kind of the detail that some of this AI is getting. So this dancing spaghetti video, this was actually kind of making its rounds. A lot of people were looking at this. Very fluid motion. I got to stop it. I got to pull it back one more time here because you guys watch the hair on the person on the top. You got to be careful nowadays. I'm just going to say it. The woman on the top with the long hair, okay? Watch how the hair moves. Oh, it's so fluid. That's awesome. That's really cool, man. AI is killing it, huh? He's down there moving. It's natural motion. It does a really good job. It almost, you know what it almost looks like? Take a look at this part, okay? If you guys ever know what motion capture is, mocap. They do it in video games, obviously, and a lot of CGI and everything that goes on. And the cool thing is the reason why you do it is it keeps that natural human motion, right? That's what it brings to you. It gets rid of that usual rigidity or the issues that you usually have with animation. And look at it, almost looks like it's mocap. It's so smooth. Look at that. Watch her legs, how when she goes back, her back bends, arms goes out, hands catch her. Looks very lifelike. I don't know. It's awesome. The physics is getting really, really good. Really, really good. And that's, I guess, another point of this is that when you look at when AI imagery first started the videos that were coming out, we were looking at just like the definition, right? And just the clarity and the colors and how it was all blending. It was awesome. It looked amazing. And then now we're starting to see that extra layer, the physics getting really, really good too. Man, where are we going to be at next year with this? Holy jeez. But I think that's going to end up doing it for me. Yeah. So don't forget, guys, I don't want to forget to plug. Obviously, like, share, subscribe to the show if you guys are enjoying the show, man. It definitely helps. All right. Getting the information kind of moved along. It helps. We're getting some subscribers. It's moving a little bit. I also put in the top there, I pinned the link on the live chat of the Twitter. Follow the Twitter if you can. I post a lot of stuff there. I post music, but I also post like some updates and stuff that go on with that. And that'll also keep you updated on when the shows go live. Obviously, it's every Sunday, 1 p.m. that I can make it and that we can bring something to you guys that's new. And then don't forget Alien Addict, 5 o'clock Eastern. So in 3 hours, I'll be on Alien Addict. It's going to be a big panel, guys. Big panel. A lot of people are going to be involved from behind the scenes, what I'm hearing that's building. I'm not trying to sizzle you guys too much, but it's pretty cool. And we're going to be going over everything with, what happened with Trump and where our feelings are with all of that. It's pretty incredible. So I'll go ahead and lead you guys out here with the song. All right. Have a great Sunday. Have some fun. And we'll see you guys next time right here on Terrestrial Material. Catch you later.
Roll out of bed Sunday afternoon and brew my cup. No UFO live stream shows on What the Truck. Hold up, what am I thinking? Terrestrial materials on at 1 p.m. Eastern. Terrestrial material, give me a recap. Terrestrial material, that's where you'll find me at. Aliens and AI, Matt, he's a hell of a guy. I bet I'll see John Stokes' steps and rotary motion. The cosmic twilight will hang out too. Jeff Hardy and Tim G. Star will sure stop by. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Live stream shows on What the Truck. Hold up, what am I thinking? Terrestrial materials on at 1 p.m. Eastern. Terrestrial material, give me a recap. Terrestrial material, that's where you'll find me at. Aliens and AI, Matt, he's a hell of a guy. I bet I'll see John Stokes' steps and rotary motion. Cosmic twilight will hang out too. Jeff Garvey and Tim G. Star will sure stop by. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Go! Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. John Stokes gets a rotary motion. The cosmic twilight will hang out too. Jeff Guardian, Tim G-Star will sure stop by. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Appreciate you guys, man. You guys have a great Sunday, all right? I'll see you a little bit later.